which was the spin-off of what used to be called IHPW. And we had wrestled there as the T-Birds for probably a year, so people knew we were a team, so I managed him for that match. So the way that we worked it out, because it was, people thought it was obvious that they see Beefcake in the ring wrestling a guy who's got short hair, and I'm on the outside with, hair down to my nipples, and they're gonna see it's obvious that he's gonna cut my hair. So what we did was teased it, where he put me out with a sleeper. He grabbed me, he grabbed his scissors, and he went to cut my hair, and my partner pulled me out by the legs. So he pulled me out, and then as he has his back turned, checking on me, then Beefcake grabs him, pulls him in the ring, and cuts a little bit of hair off, enough where the crowd can see it. But it was really too short to cut anyway. So that's the only time I've ever said no, and I've always felt bad about that. And me and that promoter are still very, very close friends. He's not even in the business anymore, but we're still very good friends. But I always felt bad. I always felt bad about saying no, because it's who the hell am I to say? I mean, 10 years in the business, and I'm still basically a nobody. And who am I to say no? You know what I mean? I'm very humble, I guess is the word. But I don't know. So that's my story. That's my Beefcake story. Actually, I have another Beefcake story you might want to hear.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this one's not as long, but on the same show, actually, later on that night, after we did the match, Beefcake, it was in an Elks Lodge, so, of course, in any Elks Lodge you go to, there's a bar and a whole bunch of drunks that are probably in their 50s and 60s. So I found them. So I hit the basement. The basement of this building's got a big bar in it, and I wrestled there a million times since then. It's 2.5, 3 miles from my apartment. So I went downstairs to the drunks, started drinking. Beefcake came down and bought me tons of beer and shots. I mean, the guy drinks. It's great. I can drink like a fish. It was awesome. But after when everybody was getting ready to leave and we were, the ring was all broken down, and Beefcake said, "Hey, is there any strip clubs around here?" I'm like, you know what? Funny you should ask. I am on my way to the street. I'm going to leave here and go to the strip club right now. Why don't you come with me? So he's like, all right, cool. So he goes, I'm going to go put my gear in the car. I'll start the car, and because again, it was January, so it was cold out. So he's like, I'm going to start the car and let it warm up, blah, blah, blah. So, making a long story short, 45 minutes later, his Beefcake's still outside in his car waiting for me, and Jay Lethal comes in and goes, I got to tell you something. Beefcake is outside asking for you by name. He wants to know where the hell you are. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, apparently you left him waiting for 40 minutes. You guys were supposed to go somewhere or something. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm busy. I was saying my goodbyes or whatever. So finally, another 10 minutes later, I go outside to tell him, I'll be right there. And as I go out there, he's already gone. He's at the end of the block with his blinker on, waiting at a red light. So he just left me there. And I've only seen him one time since then, and he wasn't very, I don't know if he remembered me or what, but he wasn't very approachable, I guess is the word. I said hello and shook his hand, but that's about it.
Yeah, I could see how that could be a little bit awkward. I wonder if he made it to the club or not.
I have no idea. I didn't want to ask him, a couple years later when I saw him, hey, you ever get to that go-go bar?
That's funny stuff. Looks like we've got another caller on the line. I believe it's Pat Sheamus again. 314, what's going on?
Yes, this is Sheamus. I got a couple more questions.
All right, shoot.
What kind of for Joey? Let's say what kind of role would someone play in WWE with backstage politics? Can you explain that?
What? I don't really understand the question. What kind of role would?
Well, I mean, what exactly is backstage politics?
Well, basically, it exists in any business, really. I mean, if I, me and you work at Subway together, and you're the top sandwich maker guy, and I'm the manager, well, I get what I want. I don't know. It's the first thing I thought of. I get to do what I want because I'm higher ranked than you are. That's basically politics. Or I make more money than you, so I can do what I want.
I got you. Because wouldn't like a guy like Randy Orton or Triple H or someone like that have? It seems like they kind of not really run things, like they're like the main superstars.
Yeah, I would say Triple H runs things. I would definitely say Triple H runs things.
That's an understatement, right?
So would I. And what do you? I heard you say you're kind of good friends with Matt Striker. What do you think of his announcing?
I used to be well, obviously I used to see him a lot more often. I haven't spoken to him in a while, actually. The last time I spoke to Matt was the day after he actually signed his WWE contract. I used to work for Steve Corino when he was running Pro Wrestling World 1, the original World 1. He runs World 1 now. It's a different promotion, but he used to run Pro Wrestling World 1 a few years ago, and before we shut down, I used to work for him. And that was the last time I saw Matt was the day after he signed his contract. He came to the World 1 show in Philadelphia, and we got pictures together and all that stuff. But I think his announcing is goofy, but like that's how Matt is. Like when he's in the ring wrestling, he's old bit, and I wish to God I wish he was wrestling again because he was awesome. I wish they would just let him, just let him be a wrestler instead of being an announcer. Because he was great, man. Matt was one of the greatest. I mean, obviously he was. People know he was working Japan. That's not. That's how he ended up getting fired from his teaching job. But you don't go to Japan if you're garbage, basically. But as far as his announcing, he's kind of goofy. Some of the stuff that he comes up with is just like, I don't know. I mean, I think one of the funniest things that comes to mind in recent memory was like. I guess it was they were doing the 7-Eleven thing with the last paper. Was the last paper Money in the Bank, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
Right.
Yeah, they were doing. I guess they were doing the 7-Eleven sponsorship deal with that. And then one of the funnier Matt Striker moments I remember was where Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler had Slurpees, and Matt Striker says, "How come I didn't get a Slurpee?" And Michael Cole just looks at him without even blinking an eye or hesitating. Just says, "You don't deserve one." And it goes right back to talking to Jerry Lawler. And that was like, I thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But like Matt's goofy. His announcing is good when he's calling moves, but when he's making up BS facts about stuff, it's just kind of goofy. I guess that's the nicest way I can say it.
And he's also I found this over the shows I've been to. He's really good to his fans.
Matt? Yeah.
Yeah. I was at Elimination Chamber in St. Louis, and then I went to Money in the Bank in Kansas City because it's not that long of a drive. And when day of Elimination Chamber, I was down there before the show, seeing if people would come out and sign some autographs. And there was a couple people coming out, but it was rainy and wet, so like not a lot of people was coming out. And Matt Striker, he came up and he came out, and it was like it was starting to like pour, and he still came out to see the fans. Like every show I've been to. He'll come out and just sign or take pictures.
Yeah, Matt's a real good guy. He, like I said, he came to that World 1 show the day after he signed his contract, and obviously people knew him because he had worked there previously. But people were congratulating him and giving him hugs and stuff, and he stopped and talked to every single person. I mean, not that we had a sellout building, but he stopped and talked to every single person that wanted to talk to him or that wanted to say hello or congratulations, whatever. He talked to everybody. And he wasn't booked. I mean, he had no reason to go there. He didn't live particularly close to the building. He just came down to see the boys and see the fans and say hello. And basically his bon voyage to that promotion, I guess you could say. And but yeah, he's a real good dude. Matt's a real good guy.
And one of my favorite lines that he had when he's announcing Divas matches. So he has something with Layla. And I have no idea why he says it, but he calls Layla his little English muffin.
She's English.
Well, I know, but just why would you call someone that on TV?
Goofy.
Yeah.
I'd call Layla whatever she wanted me to call her.
I mean, I consider it a little, flirtatious ways. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.